gathering our information, selling it, using it to change our viewpoints, to get our votes, to sell us products, etc. It's the nature of who we are. What reminded me of Facebook and other forms of social media was when Jesus said, "Abide in me as I abide in you." Just as the branch cannot bear fruit by itself unless it abides in the vine, neither can you unless you abide in me. I am the vine, you are the branches. Those who abide in me and I in them bear much fruit. The popularity of Facebook has more than 2.8 billion users, and it continues to grow very rapidly today. And other forms of social media are evidence that most of us long to feel connected with others. Connectedness is an essential part of our humanity. Life isn't possible without being connected. We start out by being connected to our mothers, don't we? By our umbilical cord. I had a friend when we were growing up, his mother loved him very much, and I really liked his mother and still like him a lot. But he was the oldest of 5 kids, and his father got in a little bit of trouble when he was younger. I think his mother had too. And so you know what she did? She doted over him and watched over him all the time. We always joked with him, we said, when you go off to school, is she going to actually let you cut the apron strings or not? You remember those stories. Today, I appreciate her, and I understand her anxiety about her children. We can't live without being connected. Just try to go it alone. You can't do it. We need each other. I'm not going to bash Facebook or other forms of social media. I was on the internet before most people were even aware there was something like the internet. I've always been an early adapter when it comes to technology. I started out in a chemical engineering program, and technology continues to play an important role in my life today. On the one hand, the online services take a lot of work to do, and it's a lot different, and it's way better being here. On the other hand, what a blessing to be able to do what we've been able to do on the TV and provide those worship opportunities and those connections we have with our congregations. There are some good things that come out of Facebook and other social media. Marie Jimenez has a healthy kidney and a much better life because of a connection with Tammy that happened through Facebook. She needed a kidney, and when Tammy read her story, she's from South Dakota. Tammy said to herself, "Wow, if I was in her position, I would hope someone would give me a kidney." So she checked it out, she was matched for her, gave her a kidney, and Marie's life has been changed because of that gift of a kidney. However, when it comes to one of our deepest longings to be loved and to love, Facebook and social media are poor substitutes for the love that happens in person, in our families, congregations, and communities. The past year has been hard, hasn't it? Not to gather here together and to be with people we care for and love the way we've always been able to be with them. There's something about being physically present with each other, being able to shake hands, give each other a hug, to eat with each other, to laugh, to cry with each other, all those things, that's powerful. Now, on the one hand, we know that, but the last year has made us painfully aware of that. The deeper love for which many of us long for can only occur in relationships where we're physically present with each other. Relationships in which we live, work, play, and worship together. It's only in these relationships that we come to know the fullness of who we are, the blessings we bring to each other, and the brokenness. Relationships in which we're physically present to each other are messy. On the one hand, we bless each other with love, care, and joy, and we hurt each other in a myriad of ways that lead to pain and sorrow. One of the powerful things about being part of the liturgical tradition, and generally we use liturgy and good liturgy, is if you pay attention to liturgy, it reminds us not only of who God is, but who we are. One of the first things we do when we gather for worship is we confess that we're a bunch of sinners. I mean, we're broken in our relationship with God and each other. We fail to love each other in the way we're told to love each other. We hurt each other. But the good news is that God forgives us, and we forgive each other. And we live together in those life-giving relationships in all their messiness. This is simply the nature of who we are. Yet it's in relationships in which we're physically present with each other that we learn the power of the love that Christ has for us. When everything's going well, love's easy. It's when we're annoying each other and hurting each other, angry with each other, disappointed with each other, that love is hard. But when we love each other, even in those times, we come to realize the depth and the power of our love for one another. That's why Jesus calls us to abide in him, and he abides in us, to experience that power of his love. A love that not even our sin and brokenness can separate us from, and not even death. Our connection with Christ is the most important connection we can have. Christ is the source of all life and all love. The author of our second reading reminds us of this when he writes, God is love, and those who abide in love abide in God, and God abides in them. It's in our relationship with God through Christ that we learn what true love is. Most of us long to be loved with the love we can always depend on, that's always going to be there for us. However, many of us are also afraid that love doesn't exist, or if it does, that we're going to mess it up. The good news is that this kind of love does exist. Christ loves us with a perfect love, a love we can always depend upon no matter what we do. That's the perfect love John writes of when he writes, perfect love casts out fear. For fear has to do with punishment, and whoever fears does not reach perfection in love. We're all sinners who fall short of what God expects from us and has created us for. We know that. However, Christ loves us in all our brokenness. Christ doesn't love us because we deserve to be loved. Christ doesn't love us because of the good things we think and do. Christ doesn't love us because of what we might become. Christ loves us because we're his children, and he's promised to always love us no matter what. The most important thing you can do in your life is to trust Christ's love for you. Trusting Christ's love for you casts out fear, the fear of not deserving to be loved, the fear of punishment, and the fear of death. Grace Bilstad trusted in that love. And when she got to that point in her life where her health was poor and her heart was full of grief, she said it's time to just let go and enter into that life that God has prepared for me. She trusted God's love for her in life and in death. There was no fear. Perfect love casts out fear. Christ satisfies our deepest longing, our longing to be loved just the way we are, with all of our blessings and all of our brokenness. Jesus, abide in me as I abide in you. Many of you know the joy of that perfect love and what a blessing it is as you deal with the messiness and brokenness of life, and there's certainly plenty of that. Jesus calls us to abide in him, to remain connected with him, so we can know the peace and joy of the perfect love he has for us. Jesus also promises that if we abide in him as he abides in us, we will bear much fruit. The fruit Jesus promises is love, the same love he has for us. Not only will we be blessed with his love, but others will experience his love through the love we share with them. Connections are important, especially when the connections bless us with the love of Christ, a perfect love. The author of our first reading wrote, "We love because he first loved us." We've been created because of God's love, and the most important thing we've been created to do is to love. love for God, and love for all God's children. There is nothing more important or powerful in the universe than love. Love is the only thing that can change us and the world. While there's nothing inherently wrong with social media, wealth, possessions, toys, and the experiences the world promises will make us happy, and much of it does make us happy, at least for a while, none of it even deserves to be mentioned in the same breath as love. There is nothing more powerful or important than love. In the end, Paul reminds us, only love will abide. If you want that perfect love that casts out fear, do whatever you have to do to trust Jesus and the love he's promised you. When you feel like you don't deserve to be loved and have made a mess of your life and the lives of those around you, remember Jesus promised to always be with you with a perfect love. Be involved in our congregation, worship, pray, learn about Jesus, and join other followers of Jesus in reminding each other by the ways we speak to each other and treat each other that we are all loved. If you're blessed to know that perfect love in your life and the peace and joy that accompany it, rejoice and give thanks. What a wonderful gift it is. Also remember, you have been called to share that perfect love with others, all others. Now may you abide in Christ, as Christ abides in each of you. And may you be blessed with the perfect love Christ has for you, a love nothing, not even death, can take from you. Amen.